I've been using the VITURE Pro XR glasses for about half a year or so, and it's transformed the way that I travel and edit on the go. One day I got on Instagram and I saw that VITURE was teasing a new set of XR glasses, and with my affinity and love for their past XR Pro glasses, I reached out and I asked if I could do a review on them, and they sent me these. These are the VITURE Luma. I've used these glasses for about a month. Today I want to dive into what it's like using these glasses if you've never used XR glasses, the difference between these and the XR Pros, and then how I'm using these on film sets. To set this up, I really didn't have any complaints with the XR Pros. I love those glasses, and in fact I just used them last week whenever I was traveling. But these glasses feel like the next iteration that's even more polished and even more refined than the XR Pros. VITURE really took something that was already great and made it even smarter, sharper, and more intuitive. So let's start with the physical differences of these glasses. The Lumas resemble the Pro XRs in their base formats. They're both glasses-style displays. But the Lumas have a flatter, sleeker, more polished look. The Lumas have a lot of external improvements, but also has a lot under the hood that is improved. The first thing that you might notice whenever you take these out of the box is that they have a translucent plastic, which I think is a really cool throwback to the nostalgic 90s feel that I remember so much as a kid. The glasses themselves have a bit smaller of a form factor and they weigh less, so it's a little bit less weight on your nose bridge and ears. The Lumas have a new magnetic nose pad, which makes it a lot easier to swap nose pads. The past Pro XRs were a friction fit. Around the ears of the glasses, they're flexible, which helps with longer term wear. In the center of the front of the glasses, we have a camera, which helps with head tracking. And then on the top of the glasses, you have your myopia adjustment, which is important for me because I wear prescription lenses. But even if you just need the slightest amount of vision correction, it's very important for that as well, because without it, your viewing experience just wouldn't be as good. And then lastly, we have a cool LED strip that signifies different modes. And if you don't love the LED strip, you can turn that off. And just like the XR Pros, the unboxing experience is premium. It feels like you're buying a very high-end consumer-grade tech, not development gear. Now let's talk about the display quality that's in these glasses. These are Sony's newest panels, and VITURE claims for them to be 50% sharper than the previous generation. And honestly, that's one of the first things I noticed after putting these glasses on and getting them adjusted. These feel sharper than the previous generation. And the virtual display is bigger as well. The relative size is 152 inches versus the 140 that we saw in the previous generation. One thing that you'll notice, especially if you use these for computer work, is that edge-to-edge sharpness has improved dramatically. Text clarity and details pop more than they did in the previous generation. I noticed this and reached out to VITURE, and they said that that's something that they've worked tirelessly on to improve. So that's something that's really cool to see in the new Lumas. Next, let's talk about gaming and entertainment. These glasses can support 60, 90, and 120 Hz. I don't do a ton of gaming, but I did use it with my Nintendo Switch, which was a pretty cool experience. I plan to take my Nintendo Switch and these glasses with me next time we travel. But I think one of the standout features of these glasses is the companion app, the Spacewalker app. Now, the Spacewalker app is available for both your mobile phone and your computer. On the mobile app, when you plug your glasses into your phone, the Spacewalker app automatically recognizes that your glasses are plugged in, and the interface of the app changes. Essentially, you're greeted with a home screen with different icons that takes you to a variety of different apps. And these apps really take advantage of the built-in AI 3D effect that these glasses can produce, which is a very cool experience, and it's hard to explain without experiencing it for yourself. Now, to use this, there's a 3D effect that you can toggle on and off in the app, and so it automatically converts 2D videos into a 3D effect, which is a really cool experience and hard to describe without experiencing it for yourself. But the best way that I can sum it up is like going to a movie theater with 3D glasses. It feels very similar to that. Inside of the Spacewalker app, there's a 3D movie page, which is a pretty comprehensive 3D movie catalog that you can browse and watch. Now, as much as I love the Spacewalker app on my phone, you have to have internet to access a lot of the different content on there. So a lot of the times I'm just downloading my content from Apple TV, Amazon, etc., and then watching the content on my phone. The Spacewalker app on the computer is a little bit different, but essentially what it does is it gives you the ability to create different virtual display arrangements. And that's really the secret behind these glasses and mobile work display. I typically work in a 3-screen setup, one on my left, one in the center, and then one on the right. And if you're a filmmaker, I can't think of a better way to edit on the go. Without these, you're either editing off of your laptop screen or traveling with different computer monitors, which is logistically complicated. And other than just being an incredible way to consume content on a plane, that app paired with these glasses is why they're in my bag every time I travel. Next, I want to talk about other ways that I've used these in filmmaking. So if you've been following the channel for a while, you know that I'm a DP and I operate the camera a lot. Now, one thing that I've always gone back and forth on is the different size of monitor that I have on the camera. Sometimes I'll run a 7-inch, sometimes I'll run a 5-inch, or sometimes I'll use the built-in display that's on the camera. Now, one way that I've been using these glasses is as a monitor for my camera. And honestly, I could see these becoming a game changer in the filmmaking community. These glasses are an incredible way to operate a camera. Imagine operating a camera with a 154-inch display in front of you. It gives you the ability to see so much detail, and there's been times that I've been using these to cam op and I've caught stuff that I might not have caught on a smaller screen. But there is a slight caveat, because whenever you have your camera set to 23:9:8, there is a flicker because the glasses run on 60, 90, 120. It's not evenly divisible. But I did reach out to VITURE and they said that they're aware of this. They want to make a fix for this, and so that's something that they're actively working on, which could be really, really cool for the filmmaking community. Now, as a temporary fix, I've been using the DJI SDR and then setting it to fast mode, which outputs at 60 frames a second. With that said, if you're shooting at 29:9:7, 60, 120, these glasses would be perfect. Now, VITURE says that they have a roadmap to include lower refresh rates, and if they do that, I think that it genuinely could be a huge opportunity for them in the filmmaking space. Now let's dive deeper into the features and new control system of the glasses. When you unbox them and put them on for the first time, you'll notice that there's controls on both the left and the right arm of the glasses. Similar to the previous generations, they have an electrochromic tint on the front, which you can toggle on and off. At first I didn't know if I would love this, but I found myself using it over the last 6 months or so it's a pretty handy thing to have rather than just having a straight black on the front. Like I mentioned earlier, it's also got a new dynamic LED strip on the left ear, which I think practically maybe doesn't make a lot of difference, but aesthetically it's a pretty nice touch. On the left arm, you'll find 3 buttons, a control button, and then an up and down rocker switch. These primarily serve the way to adjust your brightness, your volume, and the color profile of the glasses. To cycle between brightness and volume, you click once, and then you double press to cycle through different color display options. You can also hold the control button to turn off the display. On the right side, you have a single button which controls your lighting effects, your electrochromic display, and your 3D effect. Tap once for your electrochromic tint, tap twice for your lighting display, and then hold it for your 3D effect. Now let's talk about comfort and fit of the glasses. Now this is something that's very important because I think for me, whenever I first unboxed my first pair, immediately I started getting frustrated because I couldn't find the right fit. Now with these glasses, they've made it a little bit easier with the magnetic nose bridges and the adjustable arms. But something that's very important is you want to give yourself 30 minutes or an hour to dial in the fit of the glasses for your face. These particular glasses I had to wear a little bit closer to my eyes than the previous generation to be able to see the entire field of view. And then unlike the previous generation, I actually had to use nose pads on this generation to make it fit my face properly. Now what's cool about the nose pads is they give you several different options, but even if that's not a perfect fit, they're made out of a thin metal, so you can bend them slightly up or slightly down to adjust the height of the glasses that rides perfect for your nose. For me, I didn't have to adjust the angle on the temple of the glasses because they were perfect right out of the box, but it's cool because everybody's face is different, and so you may have to adjust that slightly. I included this into the comfort section because it's a comfort experience for everybody. The Harman Kardon speakers that are built into these glasses are very good, and they sound relatively loud for you, but for anybody else in the room, they're relatively quiet. So they've done a really good job creating the acoustics that work great for the person that's wearing them, but are not distracting for other people that are in the room. And then lastly, your myopia and axis adjustment. You're able to adjust the axis left to right in the glasses on the display, and then you're able to adjust the sharpness of the display with the myopia adjustment and make it perfect for your eyes. So what are my final thoughts on these glasses? Well, it's a very clear improvement over the previous generation. If you have the previous generation and you're happy with them, then I'd say stick with those. But if you're somebody that's a gadget chaser and likes new things, then maybe it's worth considering. Now, if you've never been in XR glasses before, and you're debating on getting into your new XR system, I would say that these are definitely worth consideration. I love the VITURE product and the VITURE brand, and they've treated me very well so far. I think overall they probably have one of the better user experiences with the Spacewalker app and the myopia adjustment built in, without having to buy third-party correction lenses. So overall, what are my thoughts on the VITURE Luma? Well, honestly, I don't really have a complaint, and I didn't have much of a complaint on the previous generation either. This is a sharper, better refined product that improved on things that I didn't know needed to be improved on. This feels like a step in the right direction. Now, overall, if this is the first time getting into XR glasses, I would definitely consider these over a lot of the other competitors. I've had other competitors reach out to me and ask to review their glasses, and in fact, I've just turned them down because I love the VITURE product so much. The built-in myopia adjustment is huge for me, and I think it's practical and applicable for a lot more people than may even realize it. I think where it lands for me is VITURE has found a way to create a very high-end product that creates a very high-end experience when you pair it with their software and then a third-party hardware like a phone or a laptop. Overall, this product feels like it's made for professionals or professional creators, not just consumers. I don't really have too many complaints. I've worn these for hours at a time, and I've used them every day for about a month. I've seen reviews in the past of their previous products, and some people don't like that you can see the reflection coming up in like a really bright environment. Now, for me, that's never really been an issue because the brightness of the display overcomes that, and that's not something that's distracting for me, but that is something to be mindful of. Now, you can wear blinders on the bottom. There has been people in the past create 3D printable files for that, but again, for me, that's not something that necessarily stands out. Collectively, my experience comes from a filmmaker background. If you're a filmmaker and you're thinking about getting into editing on the go, these are the ones that I would start with. I'm Keaton. I'm sharing my journey and what I've learned along the way. If you want to continue growing together, consider subscribing. This is just the beginning of the conversation.